Hello and good morning, everyone. OnlyPositivity here. I have my coffee with me, ready to explore this new phase of life with you all. So over the past few years, I have gained a whole new perspective on life, and I've realized that life is too short to not be enjoying yourself while doing great things. So come along with me as I explore this new lens through fitness, photography, reading, traveling, cannabis, and much more. Looking forward to the journey, guys. And remember, only positivity.
And we are live.
All right, what's going on?
Good evening. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. What are you sipping on over there, buddy?
I have some I have some coffee that's not decaf actually.
It's not decaf?
No, it's
Oh,
not. But I
boy.
only had 1 cup of caffeinated coffee today.
Nice.
So I feel like I owe it to myself to have 1 more cup of caffeinated coffee.
Okay, cool.
Decaf tastes a little bit different. Do you know that?
No, I don't. I don't see the purpose of drinking decaf coffee, honestly.
It's like if you want something warm and comforting, but without the caffeine, like tea.
Yeah, no, I get you. I feel like tea, I guess tea has like, I don't drink tea because I like tea. I drink it for like, my throat's been hurting today, you know what I mean? Since I came back from that trip. But, so yeah, I just been drinking tea, but I don't know. I guess decafs, it would make sense if I really wanted some coffee without the effect of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you love coffee and you just like the taste of it, I feel like decaf's a good option. However, I do think decaf tastes a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, how so?
It's like, this is going to sound stupid, but it's like less bold. It's less rich, you know?
Yeah, you don't got to self-deprecate.
It's a little bit like more watery, at least the brand that I get.
Sure.
It's like a little bit different than regular caffeinated medium roast coffee. Still good nonetheless. Like, don't get me wrong. Still kind of scratches that itch. It's just not the same effect. Obviously, it's not caffeinated, right? So
yeah, I'm a little bit confused by those Trader Joe pods you get, because they're like spongy and like clothy.
Here we go.
I'm just saying, dude, they're like weird because like when you take it out, it's like all dripping and stuff like that.
You have had a problem with those Trader Joe pods since 2018 when I first started buying them.
Honestly,
They're good.
The Trader Joe's has everything down, but they need to, I need to talk to Trader Joe himself about them motherfuckers because those things are like real stupidly made, I feel like.
It is a little bit odd. I do think there's like a method to the madness. I think the reason they do it is because it's sustainable.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what I mean?
Then it's okay.
Yeah, it's like, that's okay? All right.
I was thinking that. I was like, it's like made of cloth. Maybe it's like...
That's exactly right.
Biodegradable or something.
It's biodegradable. It's recyclable material versus, didn't you hear like a while back that Keurig creator was like super mad at himself because K-Cups create so much waste?
Yeah, I get that. They do, because I've heard they like... They're not biodegradable, and I'm sure like people drink more than 1 or 2 a day, and it's just like I'm sure landfills like fill up with that
with K-Cups.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. But all right, Trader, I'll give you that one. No, I'll take it back, but they're still shitty, honestly.
Yeah,
but the coffee is good. I've had 1 or 2 of them from time to time when you're not looking.
You have?
I have
had my coffee?
Yeah, it's good. I can't tell the difference. There's no notable difference for me, but maybe I don't have a sophisticated palate,
Yeah. You probably can't really tell the difference between coffee, right? Good coffee?
No, I can.
You can.
I can. So like, I don't know. That's like a rabbit hole, but I feel like those Seattle cups I'm getting, those taste good.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to that one girl I was telling you that was being annoying in Punta Cana last week.
Yeah.
And so I had asked her what her coffee routine was.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And she was like, "Oh, I have a really fancy coffee routine." And I was like, "Okay, fucking tell me."
Yeah.
And she's like, "I use Donut Shop, K-Cup." And I'm like, "Okay, you know what? Nothing against Donut Shop, but that's not fancy." You know what I mean? Like, I was like, "Let me stop you right there.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear any more."
Everyone uses Donut Shop.
Yeah, I was like, "Dude, what do you do? Put like water in your coffee too? Like cold water to make it better?"
Oh, do you add cream?
I didn't even go any farther. Yeah. After I heard that, I was like, okay, get the fuck out of here, dude.
Right.
I ain't learning nothing new from you. But yeah, so I honestly think those Seattle ones are good, right? When we were in Europe, those like cafe, you know, like the coffee out
latte,
there.
yeah.
Or like cafe con leche, whatever, you know, they have out there. Really good. You know, you don't need a lot of it. So I used to, you know, I drink 2 cups of coffee here, but if I had it made like that, I probably only drink 1, you know.
Oh, okay.
Because like the flavor's good. I feel like it does what you need it to do. I'm good on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't need any more.
I get you. I feel that. You're drinking tea right now, right?
Yeah, it's good. I put some of that syrup in there. The cherry lime and stuff. I thought it might go well because
you're being adventurous
I'm a bad boy.
tonight.
Thursday nights.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it might hit me at some point, but I thought it would be good because it's like lemon tea. But it's not bad. It's just not. It didn't add anything to it.
Does it taste like anything?
It tastes a little bit more like, how do I put it, like a cherry limeade sparkling water.
Ooh.
So, but a hot version.
Sure.
So it's not bad. I just generally, I don't know why I buy those. You know what I mean? Like they're so sugary, you know? Like I think you're only supposed to take a teaspoon, not like
not drink
all
the entire
of it.
thing.
So that's probably why. But
yeah,
no, I digress there. So what was our intent of conversation today? Did we have something that we wanted to chat about?
I think we wanted to talk about Punta Cana and just being 30. We're both 30 now. I mean, you're older than 30.
I'm old, dude.
But I'm 30 now.
Yeah.
So, should we start?
Yeah,
with
dude.
Punta Cana.
Let's dive in. I think. How did you end up selecting Punta Cana for your 30th?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, I chose Punta Cana because I was supposed to go there for my bachelorette party, as you know, and it got canceled because of COVID.
Yeah.
And so I never in a million years thought that I would do this for my 30th, but I really felt like I missed out when we didn't get to do it for my bachelorette party.
Yeah.
And then my girls were like, you should do your 30th in Punta Cana. Like
Nice.
we didn't get to go for your bachelorette. So like we can kind of have like a do-over in bachelorette. So really it was like my girls who convinced me. It was like we were going out one night and they were talking about like, what are you going to do for your 30th? You know, because one of my friends was having her 30th in Nashville.
Oh, right, yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, if you're going to do yours out of state, and then we went to another one in Portland.
Right.
I was like, all right, well, people are doing big shit for their 30th. Like, why can't I, right?
Yeah,
why can't I take it one level higher and we do an international trip? And I felt like because it was just like me and my best friends and their husbands, like it wasn't that, you know, jarring to plan. It was like very easy. Obviously there's like a lot of moving pieces, but because I had like a focused group, it was really easy to put pen to paper. And so that's kind of how Punta Cana, once I had that idea in my mind and I realized how easy it was to actually execute it, I was like, we're going.
Nice.
And I couldn't think of any other place. I was like, we're going to Punta Cana.
Yeah, I got you.
know?
Yeah, I mean, it's good that you know what you wanted. And it's interesting that, you know, I think like, you know, my age group, we all missed that 30th birthday. We were planning to take everyone out for a 30th birthday, right? But because we were in COVID or just coming out of COVID, that never happened, you know? And it's funny because, not to derail too hard, because that stuff is probably not going to happen anytime soon because folks are having kids and they're starting stuff, right? So we kind of missed that mark, but it's cool because all of your friends right now were able to go places for their 30th and actually make shit happen. You know, it's like it's really commendable that we can go to like places like Portland and Nashville, and Punta Cana is the craziest one.
Yeah.
And people are just like on board, you know, it's really nice.
Totally. I feel like my friend group was just like no questions asked.
Yeah.
Like the second I put out the plans, most of them just booked the next day.
Yeah. And it's nice. It's nice when it's seamless like that because, you know, people drag their feet on plans and stuff like that. It's like, it's hard to get aligned with people on vacation aside from you and me, you know, like, but it's really nice that everyone was just like, all right, agreement, we're going, you know, like, you know, at first I think people were discussing what days they would come, but then everyone was like, yo, we're all going on the same day, same flights. It was fucking dope, dude.
It was awesome. And, you know, I will say, and I actually don't know for sure, but at the time when, you know, I think I started planning or, you know, we started thinking about Punta Cana in like maybe February. That's when we kind of sent out the preliminary feelers, right?
Yeah.
But at that time, I did not know that you were going to go to Punta Cana the weekend after.
Yeah.
Had I had known, I don't know, maybe I still would have chose Punta Cana.
Sure.
But also, I'd like to think that maybe I would have saved you, like going there 2 weekends in a row.
Yeah.
You know, because I never in a million, you know, I did that last year with Puerto Vallarta, but not 2 weekends in a row.
Yeah.
I did it like 2 weeks apart from each other or 3 weeks apart from each other.
Right.
You literally went to Punta Cana just one weekend after the next, you know, and I've never seen that before.
Yeah, my boss actually asked me if I'm going this weekend.
Yeah, honestly, like it's like a real question at this point, you know.
I said yeah, and he was kind of like, and I was like, I said it real serious, you know. He was like, "Wait, for real?" I was like, "No, I'm just kidding." But,
that is so funny. Like you have a vacation home there.
Yeah. Like I'm a pretty good actor too, you know. So like,
yeah.
He bought that. So, but yeah, no. Do you regret not using Travel Tom for your trip?
You know, no.
Okay. I do.
So yeah, I not to bash anyone, you know, but I think that we're really capable of like planning our own trips. I think we've done it enough at this point. Yeah. And I think if anything, that trip that we went on to Punta Cana was a true reflection of how capable and how able we actually are to execute a trip flawlessly and seamlessly. You know, I can't think of one thing that happened that didn't go kind of according to plan or there was a mix up or anything, you know?
Yeah. And it goes to show like what people will pay for. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like for example, you coordinated the rides to and from, right? And you coordinated the hotels and all that stuff. And it's like, people won't go in on that. You know what I mean? It's like, they just want to they want to show up and like everything be planned for them. And it's actually, you would think prior, like travel agents do a lot. And I'm not saying they don't, because it does take a lot of administrative work, but it's not as much as like you think it is. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I was like the more you get into it, the more you realize like, oh dude, like with a little bit of focused effort, I could handle this, you know, easy.
You know, I think another thing, I think a couple of things, like people opt for travel agents sometimes because they just want to keep their hands out of it. They just want to show up, you know?
Yeah.
Which I totally get. You know, when you got life going on, the last thing that you want to do on top of your daily, you know, routine is plan like this like really, you know, jam-packed trip for you plus 7 other people, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's why a lot of people bring travel agents into the mix. That plus I think that sometimes people think that travel agents can offer all these like special perks that you wouldn't be able to get as like a lay person, you know?
Yeah.
But I also think that if you're just nice and you're kind to the people that you're interacting with, they will do favors for you.
Yeah.
Like they will make sure you're treated well. They will go the extra mile. They'll go above and beyond to make sure you feel welcomed and at home. Like, and tell you the truth, like I didn't feel like we needed anything more than what we got when we got there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really need to do anything off site, you know?
Right.
And everything was on site, which was really cool.
Right. Except for that amazing casino and club that we went to that one night. That was the only thing that we went to that was off site.
Oof. That was interesting. That was like what I imagined casino night at the office, but like the jankiest version of that. You know what I mean? Just like in a warehouse with like some tables set up, all the lights on, you know?
That was like a little bit jarring, you know, especially because we were all like a little bit buzzed. And I think we were all just kind of like ready to see what this place was about, especially because our driver sold it to us as if it was going to be some like, you know, awesome club.
Yeah.
And we were going to like just have the time of our lives, you know?
Yeah.
And then walking in was just like a 180. It was just really funny.
It was so deflating, dude. It was just like, oh God, okay.
And like just to kind of paint the picture for everyone listening, it was just like the most fluorescent lights.
Yeah.
You felt like you were in an office, you know, at least for that first part where you're in the casino.
Mm-hmm.
And then you know, when you go into the club part of it, it's like the most blaring, like it makes your stomach hurt. That's how loud the music is.
Yeah, and it's like all based out. Like it's like it's like fuzzy and like blurry music. You can't even hear it because it's like cheap bass, you know?
And then like the people there, you're just kind of like, oh God, where am I?
Yeah, it's funny. I wonder like what the population number is in Bahibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It can't be a lot, right? It can't be more than a few thousand people. So I'm sure like it's a really podunk spot with like just a couple of resorts, you know?
No, totally. And you know, I guess going back to our travel agent comment, it's like maybe that's one thing a travel agent could have shed light on for me.
Sure.
I actually didn't know that Iberostar was in Bahibe and not in Punta Cana.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Still, I don't think I'd change it. I liked where we stayed and I loved that resort. But again, like if we thought that we were going to go to the city of Punta Cana and like have that like sort of like club sort of atmosphere outside of the resort, that was not it in Bahibe, you know, Bahibe.
Yeah. It's funny because and like, you know, we could have figured that out with like Google Maps or something like that, you know, but like, what do you call it? When we went last weekend, we actually passed that, because we drove past that Coco Bongo that was in,
but you guys didn't go.
No, because it was right when we landed. And I don't think when we went to Iberostar, we passed it. It was like in a different direction, you know? Mm-hmm. So like, we did pass it when we went to Breathless. It was like 40 minutes away too. And it looked like a little stadium. It said like, you know, one of the world's best clubs. It looked like it would have been legit, you know?
So Coco Bongo was 40 minutes away from from Breathless too?
But it's right by the airport. Like the Coco Bongo. It's like it's in Punta Cana, you know? So,
interesting.
So like it's 40 minutes. So our thing was 40 minutes away. And then, you know, we even mentioned that like it was like a 30-second conversation. We're like, dude, should we could even go there. And then we were like, dude, are we going to make it there like at 1 a.m.? And then I was like, I think we'll make it there, but the ride back is going to be complete shitty, you know, like
totally.
at like whatever time and after drinking a lot, you know? So we just ended up staying like on site, you know, which was a good idea, honestly. The resort was really big and there was some clubs on site too.
Which is cool. I think that there was that club at the resort that we stayed at, but we only found it that very last night. And I think at that point we were kind of like, all right, we were all tired. We had to leave the next morning.
Yeah.
But I kind of liked how we sort of chilled out at the night. You know, we had our little spot at that lounge area that we grab our chairs, you know, and it was just like everything was just like really relaxing.
Yeah. It was the right level of like, you know, fuckery for that group that we were with, you know, like, you know, we would get up like early, like and stay out till like 12:30 latest. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, but like with these guys, like we would get up at like 9ish. You know what I mean? And then we'd be out till like 2 every day.
Right.
And that's what warranted going to the club, right? Because it's like we were staying out late, and that was like the only place that was open late.
Yeah.
So we would just go there and do our thing. But you know, that's just how it is with the guys. You know what I mean? It's just like all turn up all the time, dude.
Totally. Yeah. I think that you got to see like two very extremes. You know, you went for one like really tame 30th birthday party for your wife. And then literally a couple of days later, you went on a bachelor party for your best friend.
Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily call like your trip tame. Like I wouldn't describe it as tame.
It wasn't tame, but I guess tame compared to.
It was, there you go. Tame compared to what I had done the following week. Yeah. But it was interesting. I liked our resort better the first time I went around.
Okay.
Just for the comfort, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But like then like, you know, once you from the start of the second trip, it's like you got to just get into like the griminess of it. You know what I mean? You have to be like, okay, like the facilities aren't gonna be as good. Like Frontier is shitty as fuck, dude. And like, you know, even starting there, dude, I don't know what is wrong with those Frontier Airlines folks. You know what I mean? Like they need to go to charm school or something like that because they're disgruntled from the time you interact with them, you know, and to the time you leave, dude. Like I didn't even check a bag, right? I just went with Jimmy while he was checking his bag. And I didn't need them to say anything to me. They're like, you're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to. And I'm like, dude, we're good. God, this is a carry-on. Fucking relax, dude. You know, like,
Yeah.
but they were coming at me hard, and I was just waiting next to Jimmy, you know what I mean, to do his thing. And I'm like, yo, I'm not even part of this. And then like when we got to the gate, so like, you know, if you buy a carry-on, they let you on earlier. You had to board in like zone 1 or something. And like, so when I got there, because it's an international flight, they're like, oh, you didn't register your passport. And I'm like, but I did it on the app though, right? They're like, oh, you have to do it again. And I'm like, it's my fault, right? And so I'm like, dude, I did it on your bullshit app. You know what I mean? That
like giving you a hard time just to give you a hard time.
Just to give me a hard time, you know? And I'm just like, you know what the dumbest thing in the world is? You know those little ass tray tables they have? Have you seen, they have these little silver ones. It's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with that thing, dude?
But they don't offer, like, correct me if I'm wrong. On Frontier, they don't give you like a beverage.
No.
So that's why, right? Like they don't have any tray tables.
It's a little tray table. It's like this big,
for
dude.
for your phone.
Yeah, but like I'm like I would love for them to come by and me have like my laptop on it and like do all this shit on there.
Right.
But
like changing a baby on it.
Yeah, honestly, dude. But like, you know what was happening, bro? Like after the cart went by, like some people go to the bathroom, right?
Yeah.
And then they would ask for something, and I think that people would give it to them for free. And I was like, man, I should do that shit, dude.
Oh,
you know?
no way, really?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if that's like a process. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's like in stone. So it's like maybe if they like you, they'll do it. You know, if not, fuck you. You know?
Yeah, and who knows? Like you might be that unlucky dude where they're like, all right, it's $5.75.
Yeah, I'm the unlucky one, dude. You know what I mean? It's funny because like this dude next to me on the flight there was like, yo, can I get an orange juice? Right? And I was like, I got you. I know exactly what you mean, dude. But what I didn't realize was like he didn't know that he had to pay for it. Oh. So they gave him a cup of ice and this orange juice. And they're like, that'll be like fucking whatever, $12, you know? And he's like, wait, I got to pay for it?
No.
And then he gave it back.
No, he did not.
It was a can, so he didn't open it yet, you know?
I mean, I totally get that. What do you think you'd do at that point? Do you think that you just bite the cost or you'd give it back?
I'd give it back, dude, because it's like, then I got to get my credit card out and they got to run it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
if I can just hand you this can back, it'd be different if they poured it into a cup.
And they already opened it for you.
Right?
I get you.
But yeah, I mean, Frontier's a bust. And then like when we got to the airport in Punta Cana, we waited, I kid you not, for so fucking long for our ride, right? And so then what happened was, this was super sketch. I didn't even tell you this before. So we waited like 30 minutes. So this dude was like, I got you. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he knew Travel Tom. So he went to go get this SUV. So he got it. And then we drove like onto the road. But after 5 minutes, we pulled off into a gas station and got into another SUV. And it was mad sketch. And I didn't know why that was happening because there's like a language barrier, right? But we got into another, I was like, dude, this is some fucking narco shit right here. And then that dude drove us to our resort, you know?
So you guys had to like move over all your luggage and everything?
Well, they did the luggage stuff, but it was just, you know, like I say, we didn't know what was going on, you know? Like if it was in America and the guy was like, dude, you know what? Like my car is like out of gas and needs an oil change, or, you know, like we're just going to switch you over, right? There was like kind of no communication, and there was like another black van that pulled up to us and we just switched over.
Dude, when something like that happens in a foreign country where you don't speak the language, it's particularly jarring because you absolutely, like, at least I do, jump to the worst conclusion, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
Like you can't help but think, oh, all right, well, this is maybe where I might die, you know?
Yep.
When we went to a bachelorette party last year in Puerto Vallarta, when we were coming back from a club one night, our driver he pointed out it was like 2 a.m. and it was super late. We had no idea where we were. We were basically in the hands, all these girls were in the hands of this one man, right? And super late, and we can hear this like noise, right? It's the sound of an animal, and we don't know what kind of animal it is. And then he's like, oh, there's the animal. And no one really cared, but one person was like, oh, what type of animal is that? Like just engaging with him. And then he does a full one, like U-turn, like a donut, and he pulls in to this like secluded area, And I immediately am like, oh no, dude, we're going to die. Like, but really all he was doing was pointing out the animal. He's like, there it is.
Oh,
Look.
nice.
Yeah, and he called it whatever it is, like La Cucaracha or something.
Oh, shit. For sure.
Whatever it's called, and he's like, oh, see, look, and
yeah,
we were all like, oh, there it is, but we're like, you did not need to do all this.
That is the cucaracha?
I don't, dude, you know what?
Did you get his autograph?
That might have been bogus of me. I don't know what that animal was called.
Damn,
but
bro.
He said something like that, like something with a CH.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And we were all like, all right, cool. Can we keep it going? Like,
yeah. Let's go home, dude.
We got to get the bride home. She's drunk. Like,
Oof.
Yeah.
No thanks, dude.
So you just immediately assume you're going to get taken.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, I'm not really all about going off, the reservation there, because it's like you just don't know what's going on, and that once you're in, they're super anal about security. Once you're on an all inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember like for yours when they cut off our bracelets?
Yeah.
And then immediately I feel like our treatment was changed. Like people were like kind of skeptical if I wanted to get something from the bar while we were waiting for our ride. They'd like look at me.
Interesting.
I thought it was weird. Like, it was cool that they had the key on the
I love that.
because in the one we went to, there was no wristbands.
Oh.
Yeah, but you know what? Like the shit was locked up like a fortress. Like there was one entrance, and it was like this huge, like it looked like a Bond villain like house. It was like this like huge security gate. You know what I mean? So I was like, yeah, I guess no one's gonna like creep up on here or get out. Like no one can get out. You know what I mean? So it's like, which is
so you guys had like traditional key cards.
we had key cards that we had to walk around with, which was kind of a bust.
Good for you guys for being responsible enough to hold on to a key card the entire time, because I feel like even at my birthday, like that would have gone under the radar at least once.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I had like so if I wasn't in the pool, I had those like I have these shorts that have a zipper on them, like these ones I'm wearing right now, so I can just leave it in there. But that over the shoulder like bag I have,
yeah, the little
that
one.
bag was fucking my sidekick all weekend, dude. Like sunscreen and fucking hand sanitizer and my keys.
Nice.
Yeah, but it was a fun time, dude. I thought I was talking to Steve. He's still recovering, dude. Like his voice is like all fucking Christian Bale in Dark Knight, dude. How we send voice message every day?
Yeah,
we haven't sent voice messages for a couple of days.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, honestly.
Well, that's how you know that Steve had a good time and he did it right,
Yeah, exactly. But we were definitely screaming a bunch and fucking roasting each other left and right.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's definitely chill to be back now, dude. I can't do that like anytime soon again,
Yeah, you're 31.
My body hates me, dude. No, I don't even think it's that, but it's just the clientele there.
Yeah.
It's just this like, oh God, dude, like who are you fucking people? Like where do they come from? Mississippi, probably.
You think so?
Yeah, actually, I know. I mean, I don't think all of them came from Mississippi, but there was like a big group from Mississippi there.
Oh, interesting.
I think Mississippi's like a shitty state, dude.
Dude,
I'm gonna put it out there.
I can't say because I don't know anything about Mississippi.
Yeah, I know Phil went there,
South.
and like I'm not gonna say he made it look a little bit better than it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've driven through Mississippi before. It's shitty.
Have you really?
Not like vertically,
Yeah.
like horizontally.
Okay.
Like as I've gone through like to Kansas City sometimes,
Yeah.
or like you just drive west, bro. You're gonna make it through there. But
yeah,
there was a big group of like hick ass people from Mississippi that were just doing the most, just fucking being nasty in the pool and fucking titties out, dude. Just pouring Patron on each other, dude. I was like, yo, y'all are sinning hard right now.
Yikes. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, I also think that because your guys' resort was adult only, very different, just a completely different picture.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember at my birthday, like there was that little baby who was trying to get onto the ledge and all of us were cheering him on. That's the type of, things that were going down in the pool for us, or like you guys were competing with that group of Argentinians with that obstacle
on that
course.
Inflatable golf or obstacle course. Yeah.
So that's the type of activities that were going on, but it sounds like there were a lot of different activities going on the second time.
Oof, dude. There was there was only 2 channels on the TV and they were both porn. It's like, dude, all of our pictures are tainted with like porn in the background, dude.
But like, I will say this over and over again. You know that you guys didn't have to have the TV on, right?
We didn't have to have it on. Yeah. You're right.
So
but
like,
we did
you
too.
Just had it off.
You know what though? At a certain point, it was almost like I don't want to say
you needed the background noise.
Yeah, it's like having The Office on. You know what I mean? It was just like it almost felt weird to like not have it on after a certain point.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? It's like I don't think anyone was actually watching it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we were all talking to each other and listening to music and shit like that.
Yeah.
And you know, like in those videos I showed you, like we're all dancing and no one's like sitting there watching TV.
That
right?
would be really weird if like someone's sitting there like really tuned into the porn.
Really into it. Yeah. That would then I would be like, we gotta
turn
this off.
Right.
This is like weird now. But it was just more like a oh, LOL, you know, this is the only thing on TV here, you know.
So let me ask you, like, do you think the resort does that intentionally for groups of bachelor parties? Like they actually just program the TV to only have 2 channels of porn?
Like why would they do that?
To make the experience more bachelor-like for like a big group of guys.
Because big groups of dudes love porn.
Yeah. Yeah.
They do?
I mean,
in your experience, like
I mean, if I just feel like they think like, okay, this group of dudes is coming from America. Like, what can we do to like really up the ante here?
I could see that. Yeah,
you know?
I could see that.
Oh, I know. 2 channels and both be porn.
Sure. I mean, I could see that being in their schema or their like little marketing scheme because there's people fucking in the pool, and I would assume that somebody would stop that. But like nobody was around. I mean, workers were around, but nobody was stopping it. You know what I'm trying to say? So I'm assuming you're probably right. They're probably like trying to
appeal,
incite that. Yeah, get people going, you know? But if that's the case, that is a little bit weird because if I was like a hotel manager, I definitely want people to, you know, have fun in my property, but I wouldn't be like, go fuck everywhere in my prop. You know what I mean? That'd be a little bit much for me to promote that type of vibe, but.
Yeah, it's wild because, you know, when we were in the pool, like there was a stormtrooper going around saying not to pee.
Exactly. Tell me not to pee, dude.
Not to pee in the pool. Like if that's the kind of things that they're prohibiting, you know, at Iberostar, it's like they have no rules at Publix.
They had a full stormtrooper, you know, guarding the premises.
Yeah.
Well, I did not abide by that.
You peed in the pool?
Many times.
Yeah.
He couldn't stop me, dude.
Yeah,
no one can stop me.
I'm pretty sure everyone peed in the pool except for me.
Yeah, because it's your 30th birthday, you know.
I got to be classy.
Exactly. But yeah, so I'm glad to be home.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be like back into a slight routine.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm going to probably lose about 10 years off my life expectancy.
Because of that trip?
Because of that trip, dude.
Yeah.
But I'll take it, dude. I'll take it.
So how has your first week back been now that you have 2 back-to-back trips in Punta Cana under your belt?
Hola, señor. No, does that answer your question? Imagine.
Dude.
No, I think, I mean, you know, anytime you come back from a trip like that, dude, like, or like multiple trips like that every weekend, like we did last year.
Yeah.
It's like, you're different. You're a different person when you like that one, didn't you, dude?
So dumb. You're so dumb. Yeah, totally. It's especially because like that flight, I mean, it's not like terrible, but it is hefty. It's like what, 5 hours?
Yeah, you know, like the flights, I didn't mind both ways. I didn't care, honestly. It felt a little bit longer on the way back on Frontier. But what do you call it? It's a little bit, how do I put it? It's recharging.
Yeah.
But it's also like exhausting. So it's like a paradox, you know, because I was like, okay, dude, dope. Like I don't feel like any Sunday scaries coming back. I'm ready to get back into the routine. And that's part of the reason we travel, you know, like to like break up the routine.
Right.
And then it makes you appreciate the break and the routine itself, you know? So I was feeling like, okay, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to come back. But like, you know, one thing about the trips is when you go to an all-inclusive resort, they're like the same everywhere. You know what I mean? It's like the same vibe. I'm not saying the quality will change, right? But the idea of the vacation is the same.
Totally.
Right? And then, you know, you get some perspective if you talk to somebody there, right? Like, you know, a lot of the people in Punta Cana, because it's really close to Haiti.
Oh yeah.
Like there's a lot of like yes, your traditional Hispanic people. There's a lot of black Hispanic people there, you know, and so that's different than like Mexico. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and like I never knew this, but I was looking at a map when we were on the plane, and like you know Haiti and like Punta Cana and Jamaica, they're all right next to each other in that Gulf. They're all super close, you know. So, you know, that's a little bit interesting to like think about the immigration of all that and the migration of those people.
Totally.
But you don't get the true like perspective like you get when you go to like when we went to Europe or when we go to like another state and we intermingle with the people there, you know?
Yeah.
So cool tropical vacation. I think I really needed some sun.
Yeah.
But I was kind of over it, like in the sense of like I didn't meet anybody new. I didn't like learn anything, you know? But that's not why we went there, right? So it's like it's all good, you know. So, but now I'm feeling like you know, we have like 3 or 4 weeks till we go to Orlando, and that's a perfect amount of time for me to stay here and feel like, all right, I'll work hard and I'll be tired enough and then recharge in Orlando. Yeah,
totally. I like that. I think sometimes, you know, when we travel like the way that we did or the way that you did, you need like, not to be cliche, but you need a vacation from your vacation.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, and it's like just going somewhere and being on for that amount of time and just like giving your best and like wanting to just like be around people all the time. Like that takes a lot of effort. You know, it's not easy. So then coming back, you think like, all right, I had this vacation at this tropical resort. So now I'm ready to go back to work. But really, in fact, like you need a couple of days to kind of ease back into it because you're just so exhausted from how like heavy it was. Yeah. You know,
100%
on your energy level.
Yeah. It's taxing. And, you know, there's a lot of good things in what you said, because sometimes when you're here and you like, you know, you lose a little bit of the tenacity for your day to day because you've just been doing it for so long.
Right.
You know, it was, so you feel like, oh dude, am I getting fucking old, dude? Like, why am I lethargic through this? Right. Like, why do I feel like I'm not spry? And then, you know, this is like fuckboy shit, but like, you know, when we were over there, even when we went for yours, like, so every day there I worked out except for the last day. And because we were going to the airport. Right. Like, and so we worked out and then we would get breakfast and then we would like start up the bullshit, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You know, like I didn't, none of my close boys like passed out or died, you know what I mean? Like through the weekend, right? And so, and then we would get up the next morning and do the same thing. We'd like get a workout in, get our sweat on. Yeah. And you know, so it was like,
good for you guys.
It was like adult shit. And we all like supported each other on that. We all held each other accountable for that. Like there was times where like, you know, like maybe like, you know, Steve might have not wanted to go to the gym. And he was like, oh, Ummer's going, so I'm going to go. And there was definitely a time where he was like, I'm going to the gym. And I was like, I'll go to the gym too, you know? Mm-hmm. So
you guys were like kind of challenging each other.
Yeah, we were like we was keeping each other accountable even on vacation. And what was good about that was like, we would be up early at like 8 or 9, and then we wouldn't go to bed until like 2, you know?
Yeah, right.
So like, it was nice to be like, okay, I still have the energy, you know what I mean? Like and we would like laugh and joke, and I still had the energy to do all these things, right? It was just like, I need to get away from that routine for a little bit to recharge. Totally. Then you come back and you're like, okay, dude, like, you know, I've been working this week a lot harder than I normally do, you know? Yeah. But like, I don't feel like super taxed by it because I was like, I still got the energy to give, you know? I'm still like energetic. So I think that was like you always get that when you go travel, you know what I mean? Because it's like recharging. You come back and you hit the ground running, which is good.
For sure. And it's like, not only that, I mean, any type of trip gives you just different perspective.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, you kind of learn stuff. You get closer to people that you might not have gotten close to before or without this trip, you know? And just overall, I think that only good things come out of traveling.
Yeah. Like even when we were driving back from your birthday, it's like you could see like there's nothing for like the whole time you're driving, right? It's just like grass and forest and like open lands, there's cows and shit, right? Then occasionally you see like these little shanty like towns, right? Like they're all shacks. And then you would see people like playing in the back, you know, like on the street. And it's like, that's third world shit. Right, you know what I mean? Right. That is interesting to see that people are out. That's their day to day.
This
is
their life.
So it's really interesting when you just think about their storyline, right? And that's another reason like to travel too. You know, you get to see like, you can almost figment it, right? You don't know that person, but you create their storyline based on the appearance that you have of them, right? And you're like, damn, dude, like I'm coming from like, you know, Chicago, Illinois, and like a suburb, and like, you know, I go to fucking Trader Joe's and shit, like, you know what I mean? It's like, it gives you real perspective. Like, I'm sure those people are like growing and eating their food, or like living off their cattle and shit like that, which is really interesting to me.
Yeah. And like to us, like, I mean, you know, our day to day is just what we know.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we go to the grocery store. We do all of this like normal routine shit that everyone in our circle does and is used to, you know? But like, it's so far from what you see in those types of countries, you know?
Yeah.
It's like they don't have a Trader Joe's, or even on the bachelorette party I went to last year, like we had to go to 9 pharmacies just to find a breast pump.
Right.
You know, so it's insane. Like the quality of life and the difference between here and there. You know, I'm not saying one is better than the other.
Yeah, no.
Because it's all about what you know and what you grew up with. Yeah. But still, it's different.
Yeah. Like it's just all perspective. It gives you a perspective on your own issues. Because even like, you know, obviously we're different than everyone, the people we're around, and everyone's different. But, you know, we understand the problems that the people around us have, right? Because we're like in that community, we're in that friend group. But like it's good to let everyone know, or let yourself know, that those aren't the only problems in the world, right?
Yeah,
like you're like picking your kid up, or making sure they eat, or making sure they sleep. Those are things, or, you know, oh, this person is like bad at communicating, or what have you. Those are legitimate problems. You know, don't get me wrong. I don't diminish those, but there's bigger and smaller problems. There's just different flavors of problems all over the world, right? Like, one person might have to go, like, you know, this is super extreme, but like get a bucket to go get some water, right?
Totally.
And that's like what they have to do just to like sustain themselves. But we have a sink that we can just flip on really quickly, you know? So like, then you think about like a social issue that we might have is like, okay, like, you know what? I can rise above that and like be a little bit more chill about it, because there's people across the world who have like some major issues, you know? So like, it implores me to problem solve my current issues with a sense of detachment, you know?
Oh, totally. I mean, I think that's super accurate. You know, even just like today, I think we were both a little out of it.
Definitely.
You know, like with our work schedules, and like, you know, I was kind of like, you know, like work was really getting to me, and then my attitude was, I think, getting to you a little bit. And you know, then I'm like, and then after we worked out, after I ran and you worked out, like after I went for a run, I was like, dude, like, why did I even care so much? Like everything for work will get done eventually, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like, why do you put so much weight into things like that when there's just way bigger things going on?
Yeah. And like, you know, some people can use other sorts of mechanisms for that type of like wokeness, you know what I mean? But for me, it's like, yeah, working out's a big one for us, but traveling is a big one for perspective.
Yeah,
you know? It's like,
exactly.
So yeah, I mean there's that. But I mean, what about you? How are you feeling now that you're 30, dirty and flirty?
Okay, so
is dirty one of them?
It's definitely not. It's 30, flirty, and thriving.
Oh, thriving doesn't rhyme though.
It's supposed to be like that quote from 13 going on 30.
Oh yeah.
And you know what I always wonder, like now that I'm 30, is like, why did she want to be 30 so bad? Is what I always wondered, like when I was little, I was like, why 30?
Right.
But I will say, now that I'm 30, I get it. Like I do understand why 30, like maybe it doesn't sound desirable, but it is, dude. Being 30 is sick. Like, and I will just go ahead and verify that or validate that for anyone who isn't 30 and who's afraid to turn 30. Being 30 is nice. You know, like I feel good. Like,
oh yeah.
You know, I feel like now that we're back from our trip and, you know, everything went like super well, I just feel really good about where I am in life. And the older you get, you feel this sense of security. You feel like when you say things, it doesn't matter if you get validation or not, because like you said it because you wanted to say it.
Hell yeah, for sure.
You know, or you did something because you wanted to do it.
And you don't owe explanations to anyone. Yeah.
You don't need any type of justification. You just did it because you wanted to do it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel like in this phase of my life. Like, I feel like I don't need to give anyone an explanation, anyone except for you, an explanation as to why I'm doing something or as to why I'm living my life the way that I'm living it, you know?
Nice.
And I feel awesome. Like, I'm super happy to be 30. I feel in like the best shape of my life. Like, I feel healthy, and I just think like everything's going better than I could have even expected 5 years ago.
Nice.
You know, if you would have asked me at 25, like, you know, are you ready to be 30? I would have been like, God, no, ew. You know, that's what I would have said at 25. I'd been like,
oh yeah,
fuck no, dude, 30. But now that I'm 30, like, if you were to ask me if I'm ready to be 35, I'd be like, yeah, for sure.
100%.
It's only getting better.
Yeah. I think like, you know, I'll say it. I think some like, you know, especially being Indian, I think like when we were younger, people who were 30 did not look like us. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Did not look or act like us. Minus maybe some people you might have known. Or I didn't know anyone who was like I thought was cool, who was like still trying really hard in life. You know, I felt like I would just, you know, it just like you entered family stage, right? You started like getting bigger, you know what I mean? Like, because you're a mother or a father now, and it just you start getting old, man. But like, you know, it's like we still look young, we're still doing our thing, you know. And I think energy is focused now. It's instead of gone, right? You know, when you're in your 20s, or you're kind of like you have a lot of energy, but it's like all over the place, right? It's haphazard. But now, like like you're saying, it's like, you know, I can focus that energy. I can be like, okay, so this stimulus did this. I need to give it that much energy for it to be better. Whereas like prior, I'd be like, I got to throw everything at it or give nothing to it, you know? So like if there's a conflict, I'm like, okay, I know how to fix this now. You know what I mean? I know how to resolve it. Or, you know, you just have the tools in place to deal with life a little bit more than you did when you were in your 20s. You know, they were always there. You just need to kind of polish them up a little bit, I think.
Yeah. You said a lot of good things. I think that like really nothing has changed like so much, but you're right in that our parents' generation, a lot changed for them between 20 and 30. You know, a lot changed for me from 20 to 30, but not in a bad way,
right.
In the best way possible. Like, you know, and so, but for our parents' generation, I think like 20 to 30 for them was like, I don't know, like kind of devastating.
It was like I don't know, it was like a life, it was like a youth ending time, right? Like your youthfulness goes away when you're 30. That's like how it seemed.
My mom was pregnant with me, and I think she had me at 30 already, and I'm her youngest child. Right.
And that, like, you know, again, that's not the kids part wasn't the issue. No, you know what I mean? It was just like the overall temperament that came with that, you know, like, you know, have kids whenever you want to have kids, but if it means like you lose like your individuality and like you lose your zest for life, that's kind of sad. You know, that's pretty upsetting, because like we know people who've had kids early, you know what I mean? But like are still on it, you know what I mean? Are still on it. Like, you know, I'll say like, I think like, you know, Senen's a big one, you know, like he had kid. I don't know how old Jordan is, but he's still like a spry dude. You know what I mean? Yeah, so totally. It's like, I'm like, dude, that is super fucking cool that you're still hungry. He like, you know, he's artistic, you know, like the last time I was over, he was telling me about his he has DJ equipment, and it's like, dude, it's so great to hear that like you still have a creative bone in you. You know what I mean? But like, you know, some other people is like, dude, you know, they just, like some of our parents is like, they just were like never into like knowledge acquisition or, you know, pushing forward in life or making new experiences. They're like, dude, I just gotta fucking get through the day, dude. You know, and that's the scary part.
Well, you know, with like our parents' generation, it's like, I always look at my parents as like they had kids before they even knew who they really were as people. Like they didn't really understand. They didn't even find the individuality yet, like before they brought in another person into this world, right? So take that how you will. So I just think that like they started bringing life into this world before they had even lived their own, right?
Right.
But with like Senen's generation, they kind of saw what their parents did and did it differently. And now we have people like Senen to kind of look up to and model how we would want to move forward. And if we ever decide to have a family, that's exactly how the route I would go with it. It's like you're constantly evolving, you're constantly learning new things, you know, and you're learning with your children.
Yeah. And that's a big one. I mean, I don't know where we're going with this at this point, but
me neither.
You know, like that's a good part of having like kids in your life, you know, even if you're not the parent, is like they'll always humble you, you know, like the way like, you know, like we were talking about how like Elijah ate this banana like hamburger style.
Yeah.
And he just, I was like, you know, my initial reaction was like, what are you doing? But then I was like, you know what? That, you know, that's an objective view. Like maybe he was like, dude, this is how I'm supposed to eat this thing.
Right.
And who am I to say that's wrong? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you know, so it's just, I feel like that type of shit is what kids teach you. Like even like, you know, like Sophie and them, like the way they're learning right now, like they have laptops and like iPads as part of their learning platforms in school.
Right.
And they can make a little pamphlet. You know, she made a little book for me when I was there on her computer. And I was like, this is really, really cool, you know? So even Maria's kids, you know, like
totally.
when they were showing us their YouTube channels, I was like, yo, what?
Yeah.
I can't even understand what this is, dude, you know? Yeah. So it's just, they'll always keep you on your toes. And I feel like if you're curious to learn shit like that, even if it's like, just to let them get it out, you know what I mean? And it's like, you're not really trying to learn it, but like, it's just good to like have that mentality, you know, like just throw the information out, dude. I'll take it or I'll leave it.
Totally. And kind of just like bringing this full circle, I think that, you know, as the generations go on and as like Gen Z turns 30, and then I forget whatever the generation is called even after them. But once they
McDonald's,
that's what it is. You got it. And, you know, once Gen Z turns 30 and then the generation after them turns 30, like I truly believe 30 is going to seem younger and younger, if that makes sense. Like I think pretty soon 30 is going to be the new 20.
Oh, dude, from like a purely economic standpoint, like, you know, like, you know, my mom, like a base level accountant, you know, at the time could have gotten a job and like stayed there, and it would have been incentivized for them to stay there because they get a pension and everything like that, right? And like they only really needed like an undergraduate degree for the highest level roles, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like nowadays it's so competitive because there's so many people that it takes longer for you to establish yourself.
Exactly.
Right? And it's like, dude, at 30, like, you know, I don't even feel like I've achieved financial freedom. Like, you know, I don't feel like I'm a grown up yet. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
Because I'm still trying to figure everything out. But you know, there's like I think it's called like the Dunning-Kruger effect or something like that. It's like when you don't know a lot about something, you think it's like, oh, it's easy. You know, like I could do that shit, right? But like if you know a little bit, if you're kind of well versed on it, you obviously know more person than the other I was just talking about, right? But you feel less confident in that person because you know how much it takes to be like that thing, right? So like, right? So like, if I wasn't a basketball player, if I never played basketball, I'd be like, oh, dude, they're just doing whatever the fuck. They're just running around, throwing the ball around, right?
Right.
But because I play basketball, it's like I know how much it takes to be a pro.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
It's like
so
ignorance is bliss.
Exactly. So that's how I feel like it is with adulthood, you know?
Totally.
Like, we're prepped adults. So we are like, oh, dude, we're not doing enough, you know?
Right.
But like, there's people who are just like scraping by, and like they're like, they think they're killing it. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's what comes with age. You know what I mean? It's just like this constant like imposter syndrome versus being confident that I don't have the answers. You know, it's like a finicky landscape to pivot through.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What are some goals that you have for your 30s?
For my 30s.
For your 30s.
Wow. Some goals that I have for my 30s. That's a really good question. I think that, like, for sure, I just want to keep, I want to be really spry until I'm, like, really old, you know? Like, I want to be, like, active until I'm, like, 85.
Nice.
So, you know, bringing that back to my 30s, I want to keep trying new things, like, activity-wise. Some of the goals, like, that are, like, metric oriented or I can actually attain. I want to learn how to swim.
Nice.
That is a goal for my 30s. You know, I don't care if it's before my 40th birthday. I am determined to learn how to swim. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's going to happen in this decade. And again, like, I don't know if this is going to happen, but I want to run a full marathon.
Yeah.
you know? And so that's something that I want to do in my 30s. And so those are kind of like activity based, but also like, I think just like in life, like I want to just keep being someone who is like a student.
Yeah, nice.
You know, I want to keep learning, and I want to keep like being someone who is willing to adapt and flex to whatever's thrown at them, you know? And so I think that'll keep me young for a long time.
Yeah, I agree.
And yeah, I think like work-wise, I want to be, I mean, this is like super corporate, but I think like I can definitely see myself really getting somewhere, like climbing that ladder, so to speak, right? Like being director level, senior director level, VP, you know, whatever that might look like.
A, B, C.
So, you know, just whatever it might be. I think that's really attainable for me in this next decade. And more than anything, I just want to keep like doing hood rat shit with you.
Nice. Yeah.
You know, I just want to keep having fun. We have had like the best 7 years, and we started dating when I was 23. So I was closer to my 20s than I was my 30s at the time that I met you. And now, you know, I'm 30 years old, and we've been together for 7 years, and it's just every year has gotten better, you know?
Right.
So I can only imagine what the next 10 years is going to look like for us. Like I just think it's going to be insane, the things that we're going to be able to say that we've done, and the things that we're going to see, you know? So I hope that we travel to thousands of places. You know, I hope that we make a really big dent in all of the places that we want to go to, or all the countries and continents that we want to visit.
Yeah.
You know, and I think as long as we just kind of stay young and youthful in our mentality, we'll kind of reflect that physically too.
Yeah, I totally agree. I that's a really good dialogue. I think that the learning one probably was the one I resonate with most, because you know, I think we probably realize, like, I know we think sometimes we're complicated folk, and everyone are, but like I'd say we're simple, you know. I think a part of it becomes because we acquire knowledge all the time, right? Like we don't acquire things all the time. We acquire knowledge, and I feel like life is just simpler when you're like in pursuit of knowledge, or in pursuit of new experiences, and you don't get bogged down in like, you know, the nuances or like the rat race and things like that. Because it's like when you pursue, there's never an end goal, right? Like you're never gonna achieve it. You're just gonna have to keep doing it, and that's like that's a life goal, you know?
Yeah.
Which is cool. You know, I talk to people right now, like, you know, one of my cousins is like, he's going through that. He's like, you know, much younger than me, and he's going through like, dude, what do I do with my life? And I keep telling him, like, dude, you got to seek, and like, you got to seek. I never tell him that he's going to find it. I'm just like, you just got to seek. And then, because what happens is like, if you do find something, like let's say this photography thing, right? I seek, right? It's going to be cyclical, right? Like I might get tired of it. It might not be the thing, right? I don't want to get caught up in that all the time. So there'll probably be another something I get into, right? Like, let's say I get a drone, or, you know, you get a MacBook. I'm into video editing now, but it's going to be cyclical. There's going to be like a diminishing return after a little bit. So it's like, just keep seeking. And like over time, you're just going to be like, dude, I'm good at photography. I'm good at podcasting. I'm good at, you know what I mean? Then they become a well-versed individual.
Totally.
That's like fucking awesome, you know? So
I think like versatility, you don't know how important it is until you've like attained it.
Yeah. And, you know, you don't want to get caught, you know, I'm not telling this like as generic advice, but I'm just like, you don't want to get caught up in being one thing, you know what I mean? Unless that's, you know, your calling, you got it down, you're good to go. It's like, I just want to try, like this world is too vast. There's so many opportunities for me to just be like, I'm this guy, you know what I mean? Right. I just want to be a fluid, you know, just like you were saying, you want to be a fluid person, you know, like even though like not a lot has changed, but you're a totally different person too at the same time. So it's interesting to, you know, make those observations, but
I think one other goal I have is like I want to keep being a good friend.
Nice. That's
a good one. That's really important to me. Is like the older I get, the more weight I put into friendships and the people who have been with me since I was 7, 8 years old, right? Mm-hmm. And so I just want to be a really good friend and influence on those people, because I feel like those are the people who have been with me like through every phase of my life.
Yeah.
And I think the older we get, like the harder it's going to be a good friend, because life is going to get really scary, you know, and there are going to be things that we never had to see when we were like teenagers or in our early 20s, you know. But as we get older, like unfortunately, you know, also people around us are getting older, you know, so we're going to have to be with each other through really hard times, you know, and there's going to be so many different seasons of life that we're going to have to support our friends through, and they're going to have to support us through. But I hope that like my friends always look to me as someone that they can approach, someone that they don't feel is judgmental. Because I think that's something that has taken me a long time to grow out of. Is I think that when I was like in my early 20s, I was like judgmental, you know, and like I feel sorry for the friends that I was judgmental towards, because that's not how I am now, you know. So I think going forward, I just want to have like, this is so corny, but I want to have like an open heart and an open mind, you know, to all my friends.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's corny, but we've all burned a couple friends, you know what I mean? Because we were just being stupid, and friends have burned us too, right? It's just kind of the way of the world. And once you get over the sting of it, you know, it's like you gotta, you know, just the fact that you're able to say that right now is a sign of growth, you know, which is really good. But you know, all in all, it seems like life is on a good trajectory, you know, and like we're on the up and up, and I feel like if it can be that way all the time, you know, which is good, which is a big lesson learned in 30s, right? Like going back to that prior conversation, we thought it was like a doom number, like 30 is like, oh, it's the end,
like, oh shit.
But dude, it's only the beginning, you know what I mean? It's like such a springboard into life. So I'm feeling like same page as you, dude. It's like I feel light, and I feel.
What are some of your goals
for my 30s?
Yeah, for your 30s.
Very similar to yours, you know, people ask me this all the time. I think I was talking to Jonah about this, right? It's just like, so overarching is just to be better, you know, whatever that looks like, you know. So if it's quantifiable, then so be it. But like a lot of times it's not quantifiable, right? So like this year, I think I'm better about my diet than I was last year.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah. Like I think like I wasn't bad about my diet last year, but I'm cooking more, you know, like even though I'm just making turkey burgers, right? Like I didn't do that last year, right? So I'm making like natural food, you know, I'm not eating as much processed food. So like that's one way that I'm being better. I think like I'm reading like more, like, you know, like not more. I'm reading. I'm continuing to read, but I'm appreciating the art of reading differently, right? Like we do book club now, right? So it's a connecting activity for me and you and like, you know, Justin and Shireen. It's like it's a thing that we do at a regular cadence. Fitness wise, I think, you know, I'm always improving there. You know, like I'm doing different exercises. I'm trying new things out. I'm doing a lot of those resistance band, you know, functional exercises too. We're going to new places, right? I've never been to Punta Cana. So, you know, I just try to be better, right? Try to be fluid, and try to, like you said, have an open heart. I like to pride myself on, no one can say something to me that I feel like I would be like, oh my God, like what the, you know, like, are you serious about, you know, I wouldn't hate somebody for something they said to me. I'll just take it and move on with it, you know, and like, or like ingest it. And I feel like I said, that's part of being a good friend. You know, people feel like they can bounce ideas off you and not feel heard, and they have a safe space. That, and I guess just being like a good, I think being a good uncle is a good thing to do. So I think it makes me a good person to be a better uncle, not only to like, you know, like Elijah and Bella, but to like my future boys and their kids.
For
you know,
sure.
I've already like feel like in my mind, like I've committed to them, even though they're not here yet.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, they're going to need that. I'm going to need that. And it's going to like solidify us in ways that we couldn't even fathom. So
totally.
I don't know if those are goals or not, but I try to just be better all the time with what I do. And that's about it, you know.
Totally. I like that. I will say, like, you know, I didn't say being a good aunt, because that's something that I feel like I was like born to do.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Definitely. You were bred to do that shit.
I feel like the moment my sister had kids, I knew I was going to be
right.
Like, you know, but that being said, there's always learning and improving to do in every role. So I think that's really special. because I'm going to take that one from you. I want to be a really good aunt to all of my friends' kids that they don't have yet.
Yeah, yeah. And you will be, you know, and you already are, you know, to some of your friends that do have kids, you know. I think it's interesting because in my adult life, I started registering the importance of like having younger people that are like, you know, that you can set an example for and learn from, you know, like I think like Nithya was a big one. Like I think when I was an adult, I realized that, okay, like, you know, she's younger than me. I learned from her obviously, but like I need to be something good in her life. You know what I mean? Something that she doesn't have. I need to be that, you know? And that's not her parents, right? And then like, you know, with, you know, with like Evan, it's like, dude, I need to be something that he doesn't have. You know, I need to be like a modern adult figure that they can potentially emulate, you know? Yeah. And I'm not saying they should. I'm not saying they should emulate me, but I always would have benefited from just someone I could model my behavior after, right? Because I felt like I was always getting it wrong. Like, you know, I felt like I was always just like, oh, I don't know what to do, man. Like, and then so I was like, okay, just carve your own path, right? That's fine. But it would have been nice to have someone like me in my life. You know what I mean? Not to toot my own horn. Totally. But it would have been great to have someone like me in my life. Not for guidance, but just to lead by example. This dude's doing his thing. He's like a different kind of guy. So like now I've realized how like the uncle role like is important to like, you know, Elijah. You know what I mean? It's somebody who he doesn't have consequences with, you know what I mean? Right. And he can be his whole creative self with, and whatever he says is you know, God's word to me, you know? Totally. So I think like that is a practice in tolerance and unconditional love that I wasn't accustomed to growing up, you know? So I'm like, that's good for me, dude. It's good for me to be an uncle and a good friend, you know? So
yeah, I love that.
Yeah. But I think we're we're over an hour here, dude. Is it? I went by pretty quick, right?
Yeah, it did.
But I appreciate you sharing your goals and your aspirations with me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's been a minute since we've podcasted together, but I hope we can do another one before the year ends.
Yeah, we'll definitely do another one. Like we should just, I mean, it's so much easier now with this new setup, right? So it's like
this
we just
is sick,
come in and chill.
You got a legit little setup here.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like really official.
Right? We got ASAP and Thomas Shelby looking at us. Do
you remember how we did it at TGM? Like it was like in our little dining room corner, right next to the kitchen, and now you got your own bedroom to do this. Yeah, and you got this little table, and you got your MIDI board and all that. That's what it's called?
I mean, it's a MIDI board is like this side of it. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think you could call it that.
Right?
Yeah. I don't know what it's called. The whatever.
Anyway, this is legit.
Legit, right? Yeah. And the mics are good, and like. Even the setup I had.
Headphones on.
yeah,
dude. I feel like I'm at like Joe Rogan's studio right
Let's
now.
go, Joey. Get me on, dude. I haven't sent him my podcast in a one.
What? You better send him this one.
Yeah, I better send him this one.
My wife and I sat down, Joe. Dude, take a listen.
What's up, man? But yeah, all right. You want to go chill?
Let's go chill. Thanks, babe.
All right. Love you. Love you.